This is an 8-year-old Marzocco Linea Mini, and it's about to undergo a massive transformation through the team at Specht Design. We're going to send this down to Dan and the team, and he's going to give it an absolute makeover. And it's just going to show how good an older machine like this, 8-year-old, can be totally rebirthed, reborn, and given a whole new life. And just a true credit to the quality of what Marzocco machines are all about. If you're not familiar with Dan and the team at Specht Design, they do amazing transformations on coffee machines. They'll do absolutely anything. You dream it, they make it. So now you can see that we've got this old machine. It definitely needs some love. And we're going to do a bit of a clean up on the inside. This machine hasn't had a filter in it for 8 years. So we're going to get new elements in it. We're going to give it a descale, get the whole inside working an absolute treat. So we're going to ship it down to Dan and the team where they're going to work their magic on this beautiful Mini. And then we're going to go down in a couple of weeks and see the progress of the machine. We'll take you on a bit of a tour of their facility, show you some of the real intricate things that they do that are just phenomenal. So we're really excited to be partnering with them and having some fun on this Mini. So hang around, guys, it's going to be absolutely awesome. Over to you, Dan. So there we go, we've got the label there ready to go on the Mini. So we've done a good clean up on the inside of the machine, and now it's time to spend it down to Dan and the team at Specht Design and see what magic they can work. So hope it arrives safe. Well, here we are at Specht Design in Melbourne. It's a bit of a chilly day today here, and I'm with Stephen. So thanks so much for having us, mate. Mate, we're going to unbox our Linea Mini and check out what it's like and see what you got to work with. It's going to be a good time, and we'll start planning what's going to happen with this machine. What's come loose? Ah. Do you normally take those off and clean them up, or?
Yep, we usually do. Oh, it's pretty well maintained. Usually it will be all...
It's all new.
Ah, okay.
So we've already done the new pipes on it, we've put a new element in it, given a descale on the inside. So technically it should all be spot on, ready to go again, other than the actual physical stuff that needs to be fixed up.
Yeah.
Because it came in with a fault.
With a fault?
Yeah, the element was blown and he hadn't used a filter the whole life of the machine.
Where did you get this from someone else?
A trade-in.
Trade-in?
We did a trade-in on the GS3.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, you can see it definitely needs some...
Some love?
It needs some love. It's showing some battle scars, but you know, that's what's cool about an old machine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's welded in.
Yeah, they're all welded in, yeah.
Missing screw. Just no problem.
So Stephen, when you get an old machine like this and it's just arrived, what's the plan of attack? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Usually what we do is we'll put the machine up onto the bench to test, see what's on with the machine. Is it good? Is it good to go straight for customization, or it requires some sort of like fix? As you mentioned earlier on, the boiler needs some fixes. We'll let the customer know, hey, these are the fixes that you need to do before the customization. Would you want to proceed? Or would you want to take it back to have it fixed? Once that is all sorted, the first thing we'll do is to strip down the whole machine, get all the panels off, get all the metal parts off to send them out for powder coating or electroplating. And then once they are back, we'll then piece them together, partially fix them together, do a test, make sure they're working well, nothing leaking, and then fully put the machine back together.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like an exciting process to be under, mate. Look forward to seeing what we can make a bit of a silk purse out of this old sow's ear, eh? She's looking a bit rough around the edges, but I'm sure it'll be pretty by the time you finish with it.
Yeah, she's in good hand. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I know. We bought it to the best. So here with Dan from Specht, mate. Hey, look, you're well known in the industry for producing beautiful pieces of artwork. I mean, that's the only way I can personally say it. But, mate, how did it start? How did you get into doing this specifically?
Well, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to catch up again, as always.
Mate.
Specht started by mistake. Not by mistake, it was just a beautiful harmony of many skills I acquired over the years, I guess. And, you know, I'm from a furniture background, but I've always been into cars and bikes and anything mechanical. You know, I've been pulling things apart since I was a kid. And then, you know, I got gifted a coffee machine and didn't even drink coffee at the time, to be honest with you. But I don't know, I was just intrigued by it, and I started pulling it apart, and then I got introduced to coffee by my father-in-law, who's Italian, and it was really the first coffee that I really enjoyed, and it was from a cafetiere, you know. It was probably burnt, over-roasted supermarket coffee that had been ground for months, and I don't know, it clicked with me for some reason, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I just dreamt about it night and day and just wanted to know more, and that's how it got me to where I am, really. I just started pulling machines apart because I figured that if I couldn't be in the coffee industry on a hospitality level, I really just wanted to play with machines and make good coffee at home and really enjoy it. And then, one thing after another, I kept trading up and got to a GS3, which is the first machine that I ever customised. And that's where Specht really started, you know. It just catapulted me after I posted that first machine, and the rest is history.
Yeah, right. So Specht, mate, the meaning, where's it come from?
Specht is from my German background, definitely. I mean, I was wood turning one afternoon, and when I started the business, I was literally wood turning on my back deck because I didn't even have a garage to work from. And my wife walked out and said, "Oh, you know, you look like a woodpecker because you've got all these wood chips flying everywhere." And we're like, "Oh, I wonder what the German name is for woodpecker, because that would be a cool business name." And yeah, that's how it started. So Specht, and our logo is actually a woodpecker. It's a version of a woodpecker. So
yeah, awesome.
That makes sense to everyone now.
Okay, so from the back deck, you know, turning those first handles and playing with stuff, what was the transition time to go from that to employing someone and maybe moving into seeing it as a real business?
I think to begin with, it was very much a hobby, and I had no plans of turning it into a business, to be honest with you. I just saw a gap, and nobody else was making timber parts. So once that had started, I posted a few images, and as I said that, once I put the machine up, that's when things catapulted. And, you know, I was working full-time when I started Specht still. So it was within 6 months I'd quit my full-time job, gave up, you know, 6-figure salary and car and phone, and took a crazy risk. And
in the timber industry, or what was that?
Furniture. But, I mean, I was in project management for a high-end joinery company. So yeah, but it was my dream job, I guess, that I thought was my dream job, and realised how much I hated it once I got into something I was passionate about. And then I was in the garage, which I actually had to rent off my landlord at the time because it was his storage facility. And I was only in there for 1 year, and then we had 28 machines crammed into my garage, mainly commercial machines too. So then, that's when we moved into the factory and went from there. The first day that we moved in, we had 10 Black Eagles delivered. I remember it very, very well. And I think we had 38 machines in our factory on the first day that I was in there. So it was pretty crazy.
It felt like game on, mate. Bit of pressure straight up.
Yeah, and then it was 6 months later I hired my first staff member, and he was a wood turner, like a woodworker. So yeah.
So you did all those Black Eagles yourself first up?
I did, yeah. I stripped all 10 in about 6 hours, I think. So.
Yeah, nice. Well done, man.
Yeah.
Personally, I'll say I'm pretty jealous. I mean, I thought I was going to be a cabinet maker. And
there you
timber
go.
work. That was really my thing. I love wooden joinery.
Yeah.
And then, I got pulled out of Victoria as a young kid and ended up in hospitality. Every day I look at the lathe and all these timber work. So.
I do love it. It is a great job to have. And I was the same. I had the opportunity to become a chef when I was younger, so I had to choose between the two apprenticeships, cabinet making and joinery, or being a chef. And the hours of a cabinet maker suited me better, so I took that. And I mean, I do love timber, so yeah.
Mate, what piece have you done that means the most to you? Like, out of everything you've done, you know, I've seen all the glossy photos, the beautiful colours, but what means the most to you?
I suppose there's some sentimental machines that sort of probably happened earlier on in the piece, I guess. I mean, the first slayer I ever did for St.Ali was obviously something that I'll always hold in my memory because it was the first slayer I ever worked on. First slayer that was ever built. It was serial number 1. It was super daunting and I had no idea what I was doing. At that time, I didn't even know how to take a steam knob off a linear classic. That's how unskilled I was in the industry. And I just took a hunt with it and it paid off and it was just a very memorable machine. I learnt so much from that one machine that really helped me with everything moving forward because it was so complex. That's a memorable machine. I guess there's one that we did for a company called Kaffe in Singapore, and it was a KB90 that I built out the whole body by 10 millimetres in 10 millimetre aluminium and electroplated it and did carved timber, and that's just always a really memorable machine because it was a challenge and it killed me actually, but the end result was unbelievable and I will never forget that machine.
Yeah, awesome. So you really focus around doing individual customized pieces. You don't want multiple, bang them out, production line kind of stuff.
No, not interested. No.
Yeah, and that really shows it. Certainly, we've seen tiles, we've seen, I don't know what it is, like material. What do you call it when that is? Packetry on things. So, what technique do you like the most? You said you do timber, but is there anything particular like, hey, I've learnt to like electroplating, or anything particular that you really enjoy or finds cool?
I think that timber's obviously a passion that's pretty evident. I love working with stone. That's part of my old job too. We did a lot of stone benchtops and weird and wonderful shapes in stone. So that's always fun to work with. But I love working with metal. If I can shape and craft something out of metal and actually pull it off with my limited skills in metal fabrication, that for me is a huge joy. Yeah.
I get where you're coming from because timber's so soft, it's malleable, you can really play with it, you can fix a mistake. Metal, you can't. The preciseness of metal and getting a join or a finish to be perfect. Yeah, I've played with a lot of stainless and looking at these benches and stuff. You mess it up, you got to start again.
It's a real skill and it's something that I'd love to, when I have more time in my hands, is really concentrate on perfecting. Yeah, one day when we've got a bigger factory and more space for machinery, it'll happen. Yeah,
mate. If you stuff up a job, you can always say, "Hey, we can't have polish. Let's go to powder coat."
Yeah, that's right. Hide it. No, we don't do things like that.
No, that's good, mate. It's good to see that there's a level of, it comes across of perfection, detail across all of your work. So, definitely shines very easily, mate.
Thank you. I've got good staff too. It's not just me. I'm not working on the machines as much as I used to. It's I'm just trying to come up with the ideas, and once again, it's something that I just dream about every night, and ideas come to me at the most random times. But I'm really big on saying yes to just about anything without even knowing how to do it and then figuring it out. I think that's part of the fun. And then seeing that end result of something that you've never done before, but it's come together so beautifully is just an incredible joy.
How many team you got now, mate, working with you?
We've got 7 staff now, so there's 8 of us all up. Yeah,
awesome. And
we've never been.
Yeah, and certain team to do particular roles, like specific around timber, metals, things like that? Or
Absolutely.
If you were to break that process down, what are the key elements of the design factory or facility you have that you can show?
Like from start to finish, you mean? Like from concept to completion?
Yeah, so you might have like your pull down, you've got timber, metal, what does that actually look like in those manufacturing sides, I guess?
Manufacturing sides, I mean, obviously there's a lot of CNC work, there's a lot of metal work, there's a lot of timber work. It starts by taking the machine, stripping it apart, but even before that happens, we go through the design process with me and then it gets passed on to Matt, who's our production manager. Matt breaks the job apart. Some of it will go to Shane, who's our logistics manager, but he also does the ordering and packing. So he'll order what he needs to begin with that we can order. And these are usually the parts that are going to take the longest. If they're really something that we haven't done before, we'll need to put those orders in straight away if they're specific CNC work or engraving. And then, the machine gets stripped, goes off for powder coating, electroplating, fabrication. But anything like stone work and a lot of the custom fabrication and everything, we manage it all in-house as far as we can. But a lot of the really complex sheet metal fabrication gets done by a sheet metal fabricator because we just don't have the technical skill to do so. And then it gets broken down into each category. We have a customer service manager. He handles all the client updates and every client question that comes through, basically.
Okay.
And a content creator as well. So we've got a few different roles in there. Yeah.
What does the design process look like? We've got this Mini we're going to talk about in a minute, but what does it look like from an external person reaching out, giving you a call, Tell us about that design process that you do for people.
Well, the design process, it's generally not a phone call. It's because it starts with design chat, which is an online sort of form we do on Typeform, and that asks a series of questions, all sorts of stuff, like what inspires them, what are brands that inspire them, what's the decor in your home, what style of house do you have. We break down these questions so I can get a bit of an insight as to what that machine needs to look like in that space so it fits. Sometimes it doesn't need to. Sometimes it's just something that really inspires, and then we could go off a car design or something like that. And then I'll break that apart and I'll send the client mood boards of different colours and material selections. We're often sending physical samples to all parts of the world so that people can really be confident in the choice that they're making, because you know what colours look like online. They can be different on every single device. So yeah, often, I mean, we don't do 3D drawings at this point in time. We don't want to give away the overall design to the client straight away. You know, that's why I go with a mood board instead and go with material selection and then ask them to trust me, which is hard for some people, but most clients do, and we haven't had a single negative comment on their final design of a machine, which is fantastic. So yeah, really happy about that. But it is really about the person. Sometimes I have no idea what they want, but through photos of their space and things like that, I can guide them to get the result that they want.
Yeah, awesome.
It's pretty complex.
It is good when you can wow people. I mean, I've seen some other design shows and things like that where people have the creative control and they're like, I never thought it would be that much better, because they have this idea, but they can be restrictive in their idea, and you can add that extra flair. So
absolutely, yeah. We often, sometimes midway through the build, I'll change something because I'm not happy with it, and we'll tweak it slightly and make it that little bit better and get that, as close to perfect result as possible. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to be able to go for a whole new build, pull something down and drop some serious coin, because I know these, you do beautiful work and well deserved for the efforts and the value you bring to those machines. But we've got a Linea Mini. It's a few years old. It's looking a little bit dated, and we know that those kind of machines are built to last.
Absolutely.
For a lot of time. So, mate, what's the process? The machine's there, it's in a box. What's going to happen from here?
Well, because yours is a bit more unique, we're not starting with a new machine, which would be sort of like probably 99% of what we do are brand new machines. So if it's something used, the first thing that we always do is pull it down, put it on the test bench, make sure there's no issues with it. If it needs anything rebuild, we'll diagnose it, send that off to the client, quote it, proceed, and then we'll talk about the custom options. Generally, when we're at that stage and the machine's in our hands, we've talked and discussed about the design criteria, I guess. But it always starts with testing a machine. That's always our first and foremost thing to do. And ideally, if the machine's got any scale breaches from bad water quality, we'll strip the entire machine down, descale it, change every fitting and everything that needs to be done. So it's really working with the client to get that best result. And if we see scale breaches and things like that, then we can recommend better filtration. And that all comes into the design process too, and making sure that your lifetime investment's actually going to last you a lifetime. I mean, with you guys, obviously, you know what you want in your design, which is fantastic. You have specific branding, so we're going to suit that and really match to your branding. We've got your logo files. We know exactly what we need to do, so it makes the process very simple.
Yeah, I know we've given that, and I want to give you some creative control, but I'm also like, this would be kind of cool. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see how it ends up, and I think you're going to pleasantly surprise us, which will be really cool.
That's the good thing, and I love having a bit of creative freedom. We know what your branding is, so we are going to stick within those guidelines, but we're going to be creative as possible within those guidelines too. So yeah, thank you for that freedom.
That's all right. Yeah, it's crazy. Like if I just say, hey, we're going to go white, which would be, a really easy way to go. But I think there's some other things going to happen. But the way you can have a white piece or a different colour or a cutout or texture to a machine that typically is flatlined, pretty standard and iconic in its look. But
we've had certain brands ask us for things, and their branding is either black or white, and they want to stick to that. But it's about how creative you can be with that black and white, and there is so much detail you can add to really separate it from a standard machine, and I love that because that gets my brain working. Really sparks me.
Yeah, texture's a good challenge there. Mate, what's the time frame for something like this? If someone does look for a new machine and they send it off to you, what's the process, time to start to finish? What does it look like?
It's from the moment that we actually receive the machine, and this can take a while depending on where in the world we're sending the machine to. But it's 16 weeks from the moment that we receive the machine. That's our minimum lead time. Can extend from there. We've had builds last 12 months, believe it or not, but that's generally because of a few changes that have happened along the way. But yeah, for the more complex builds, we look at 6 months. Yeah, so it is a bit of a lead time at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, this is it's a very long creative video to do here.
Yes, yeah.
But very excited and worth the wait, I'm sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Out of the whole, Specht process, what is the thing that really still makes you get out of bed every single day? You go, hey, it's to design, to touch wood, to whatever it is. But what still keeps Dan going day in and day out, mate?
Yeah, this is it's been I wouldn't say that's been a challenging few years, but, like in any small business has its challenges, and I'm definitely more of a creative person than I am a business person. So, we're 10 years in now. It probably took me 7 years to really realise who we are as a business and what I need to do to keep that business relevant. Beforehand, work just came to us, which was fantastic, and it still does. I mean, we don't really need to go out searching for work. But for me, I had to really change my mindset towards the business. And the hardest thing for me was getting off the tools, because I'm so passionate about it, and I could do it every day and get out of bed with a big smile on my face, whereas I realised that we've got a really legitimate business here, and I had to change that mindset to that business mindset. So I went and got a lot of training, got a business coach, and I suppose the things that are really ticking the boxes for me are overcoming challenges within running a small business and making it successful and making sure it has longevity. And that's been incredibly rewarding, because I never thought I was capable of doing it. I dropped out of school when I was 14 years old. I didn't even finish year 9. So nobody ever taught me about business or how to run a business or manage money. And when things are great, it's easy. When things are hard, it was really hard. So yeah, now I'm really thriving off overcoming business challenges and watching the business succeed because of those decisions that you've made that are not always easy. So that's been awesome. And we've got some really exciting things coming that I look forward to sharing, and through taking the time to really run a business properly. It's
really interesting. A lot of people, I love mentorship and entrepreneurship in business. That's definitely where I see myself. And a lot of business owners buy themselves a job to get into a cafe, but they 100%. Realise they're just doing that.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where they've got to release what they actually love doing. Yeah. Maybe there are better people that can do it.
Yeah.
And do it better, and you can guide them and run the business really well. So it's interesting that's happened for you. I'm glad you're at that stage, because that will secure Specht for a much longer time.
Absolutely, that's the plan.
We can't be everything to everybody in our businesses.
No, exactly.
And actioning team to be a big part of the brand and release that accountability, responsibility in those areas to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a challenge to do so, but the more I do it and the more I give to the guys, the more I just watch them come out of their shell and succeed. I've got an incredible team, so really the success of Specht is because of them as well. They've just had a massive part to play in it. And, I'm going away next week for a week, and it's the first time I've gone away and I have zero stress about it. I know that they've got everything covered, and that's super rewarding for me to get it to that stage. Yeah.
Brilliant. Made a bit of a shout out to the team.
Absolutely. The team are amazing. Love them.
Yeah. Yep. Any names, anyone you want to say?
I mean, they're all great, so I'm not going to name individuals, but, the team is Matt, Shane, Taze, Zach, another Matt, and Stephen, and they're unbelievable. Yeah.
Awesome.
Matt especially, though, because Matt's the production manager and he really holds down the fort for me, and he's been with me for the longest. He's been with me for about 7 years now. He's just unbelievable. Yeah, absolute amazing guy and amazing worker.
Yeah, well done, Team Specht. That's awesome. Mate, what is on the horizon? What's coming up? Can we get any hot goss or, a little sneak peek into the future?
We do have some crazy things coming up that I just can't share right now. One thing that we can share, though, is that we will have a physical presence in Dubai within about 15 months, which is pretty exciting.
Oof, that's pretty cool.
It's an amazing place to set up, and it's also a great gap in between us and Europe and America, which may be another future endeavour. Yeah, we'll see. There's other things on the horizon, but
we'll talk off camera.
Yeah, essentially what we will be doing is manufacturing in Australia, though. That's not going to stop. Dubai is going to be more of a retail presence, and also a place that we can service machines and test and all that sort of stuff. But you know, we are an Australian company, and it's a big thing for me to be Australian made. All of our products are Australian made, and we're very proud of that, and we want to make sure that that continues.
Well, Dan, I think that's about it, mate. Really appreciate your time. I'm really excited to see what you're going to bring.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't know where the machine's going to go, but I think my wife wants it on our kitchen bench.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure it's got some touches that'll suit her too. Then.
Yeah. Well, mate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll await the
pleasure.
next meeting, and I'm sure it'll be when we're picking this thing up and having a look at it.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you. Pleasure.
Cheers. Hey guys, here it is. Let's come and have a look at the detail on this machine. So let's start from the top. It's got a customized cup rail. Now, if you're a keen Mini person or an older Mini, there was never a cup rail on there. So that's an added feature, which is really nice. It's been built, but also finished in the same as a lot of the chrome that was naturally on the machine. And if you have a look through, you can see all chrome has been removed, and that's a big process. So where that's happened is every single screw here is no longer chrome plated. As we come through, the little buttons now have their bevels in this same finish. Dropping down lower, your hot tap, the group head and the steam wand has been finished in the same finish as that cup rail, which is awesome. Diving deeper, the detail on the gauges, they've been changed. So they're a different gauge and the surrounds are identical as well. And come down a little bit lower and look at the feet. The feet have been remade with this new style. They basically came with a rubber feet, but now they've got this beautiful metal matching foot as well. So this grey has been put through the whole machine. The colour itself is a bit of a darker grey. Now it does look a little bit different in different lights. So it's kind of got a purpley grey kind of finish to it. And I really wanted to make sure that we had some sort of two-tone effect. And that's why we've got the white Artisti badge there on the front. This wasn't really a branded machine like for Artisti, but you know, maybe a touch of it was pretty cool. The drip tray itself again has been finished in the same paint because that's normally a stainless steel drip tray. So that's really nice to have that finish all the way through. We've got not only the timber kit, which comes standard with this whole kit you can buy, which replaces all the componentry. You do get a handle, which I haven't yet decided whether I want to use a bottomless portafilter handle or a 2-spout. So it's the only reason why that one's still in the box. So that's the kit that's been put in place. Now you can buy those kits and put them on your machines, but if you look at the detail here, Specht team have gone a little bit further. In the background of our logos and design, we have this beautiful little wave pattern just to signify we're a bit coastal and that kind of vibe. So they've actually gone through and put it on the faceplate there, which is a beautiful little touch. Now I didn't know that was going to happen, but very impressed of that detail. What I did really want was on the side here. You've got this full detail where the wave is accentuated. I wanted to show that not only we could have maybe a sort of a cutout feel, because the Mini typically has a lot of plain panels around the whole machine, but I really wanted to give a bit more, you know, edge or design to the Mini. And not only did they cut it, they've actually relined it, so you can't still see in the machine, but it is that exact same profile from our logos and our branding that's on the steam taps. So that's a very great attention to detail. And on the back, we have the big badge. Now we know badges are pretty cool, and you know, a little patch you might have on your hat. So the guys have put a full white Artisti patch on there, front center, nice and big and bold. So that definitely gives a statement to the machine. Now the other detail that I think is very impressive is that the machine itself does have its own compliance plate, but it's a Marzocco compliance plate. And once you transform a machine like this, like the team from Specht have done, they've actually made a matching new Specht compliance plate. So it's got all the original info there, but it's been redone there just to signify that it's a machine that they've re-engineered and rebuilt. So a wonderful little touch there to bring it all together. So what would I change? I would definitely put the integrated shot timer into the original Minis, because that was one thing that was a little bit tricky when we're trying to dial in. And I think that's it. I think that's about all I would change. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a cool piece. It's definitely very well finished, and the thought and process into the machine's been done well. I wasn't expecting the level of detail that they've done with these screws and bolts. So yeah, pretty impressed on that extra attention to detail that the team have done. It definitely took quite some time to be able to get this machine, but they kept telling me, hey, something's not quite right. We want to make sure it's perfect before it's delivered. So there you go, there's the machine. So what do you think of the upgraded Mini here? Do you think you like this color? Do you think the choices I made in terms of getting rid of all of the chrome and going to this, this grey sort of look was something you would enjoy? What would you change? Would you have this in your home? Maybe we should produce a few of them. I don't know. Anyway, it's been certainly really cool to make this machine and go through the process. And I've always dreamed of having my own machine and a bit of control to be able to do that. But I guess this also allowed the Specht team to take my ideas and add to it as well. And I think they've done a great job in bringing the dream to reality. So anyway, love to hear your comments on the machine. What would you do? What would you change? What would you actually have in your own personal machine? Would you go timber or black or whatever color? But tell me the specifics about what you would do in your own customized machine. I'd love to hear what you're thinking so we can start the conversation down below in the comments. And like as usual, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. You'll get notified when we put up our latest content. It does allow us to bring you a lot more content and some cool stuff like this through the channel from the subscriber support. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.